Hey there, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. To all those in a happy relationship and also to all those, who are not in a relationship. I wish you happiness and I guarantee that you will, um, find success in that at some point. But in honor of it being Valentine's Day, um an idea I took from someone in my comments section, I made a of my top 10 favorite ships in fiction. Now, what this is not is like when I say fictional ships, this is like nothing speculative at all. Because not only am I really not into that geek, like at all, because it's just really not my thing, but I also don't know nearly it would be impossible for me to try and think of any potential fictional ships I would want to happen. So, if you're feeling confused, don't worry because when I say fictional ships, I what I basically mean is characters that end up getting together, basically. So, in a ship in that sense, not like will it happen, but like something that has already happened. Um, Now hopefully that becomes obvious, but if you're still confused, then I'm sorry, I tried to explain it. But starting off the list is number 10, Geralt and Yennefer. Um I think the connection that these two characters build is really interesting, and it's such a um it seems like it's such an unlikely romance and like romantic chemistry, and yet the two of them together are just such a good like match for each other. They balance themselves out in so many ways, which is just it's very interesting and it's very satisfying to see. I guess. Um, at number 9 is Mike and 11 from Stranger Things. This isn't just going to be anime. um, actually, two, three, four, five. About like 50-50. I in terms of like anime versus non-anime on this list. But anyway, Mike and 11 from Stranger Things. This one, I've always thought was just really sweet and wholesome. Um, and because uh from the very beginning they build up a nice friendship, and seeing like Mike crush on Elle is cute, and just kind of like seeing the way that their relationship developed as both of them grow up and they both have to deal with personal issues. It feels very genuine, and it's really satisfying to watch. Um, Number 8 is Noah and Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Um, these two characters from the very beginning of the game, it's so obvious that they have like so much romantic chemistry that it just at some point is kind of cringy to watch, and yet I also just love it. Because uh it's the two characters that are united by the same destiny, and watching them slowly grow closer to each other and begin to care about each other more. Especially like when you learn all the crazy revelations about N and M and how that like factors into their relationship overall. It's just it's very deep and complicated, and it really feels like one that you just follow all the way throughout the story, and it just feels amazingly satisfying. Um, and number seven is Violet and Major Gilbert. Now, to be honest, I really would not have called this. I really would not have put this in the list at all, really, if it was not for the Violet Evergarden movie, which was just I thought the show itself was just so beautiful and so peak, and then the movie was just kind of another level in terms of just absolute sheer brilliance. Um, and the way that it not only like throughout the series itself, the whole point is really exploring. This is why Violet is like up there with my favorite female characters of all time, is because the entire point of this series is just exploring her and her character and the way that she recovers and deals with these situations and how she learns to gain emotions and all that stuff. I've talked about a lot before. That's just kind of a brief recap. But the reason that this ship is even in this list at all, is because in the movie, not only do you learn that Major Gilbert is actually alive, he didn't actually end up dying, but you really get to explore in absolutely fantastic depth the his, his like what his life is like, his struggles. Um, and then like, and then obviously at some point they're gonna have to collide with each other, and that scene in the rain when they have the conversation behind the closed door at Gilbert's house is just it is so emotionally heart-jerking. And then golly, seeing the ending where they finally get together, I tell you, there have been few times I was more satisfied by a romantic conclusion than that. Um, and number six is Guts and Koss and Casca from Berserk. Um, and uh, I wasn't really gonna include this on the list until I started really thinking about it because um ever since I've been collecting Berserk volumes physically, I've been kind of rereading it from the beginning, um and and the way that both of their individual characters developed was really interesting because um Casca's entire arc is like about how he doesn't need to it's about her struggling to prove her independence and value as a warrior, and how she looks up to and admires, and she thinks she loves Griffith, but she realizes much slower than the reader, admittedly, that it's mostly just admiration, and the idea of her and Griffith being together is incredibly unrealistic. And seeing how that what I love about this is it's not like an example of like Casca deciding, oh, I guess I'll sell for gut. It's like genuinely falling in love because um she begins to like really respect his character, which in turn leads to her really caring about what he does and what happens to him, and getting incredibly upset like when he leaves the band of the Hawk um for a brief period of time, and um uh and then just like um the way that that correlates to Guts's character and him kind of changing in terms of the fact that he begins to care about someone a lot more than he had initially thought. Um it's such a profound, I think, connection for both characters, and I think it just works so well. Um, Now, before we go to the top five, I wanted to. I don't normally do honorable mentions in my top tens because if I had an honorable mention, then at that point I probably would have extended it to like a top 15 or something. However, for this list, I will make an honorable mention to every single romantic relationship in Cobra Kai. Um, Obviously, I made a video yesterday about about how much I absolutely loved the final episodes of it. But every single romantic relationship in Cobra Kai is amazingly developed, and it like perfectly relates to the characters as well, and like the way that you know it was Miguel and Sam, and then Miguel and Tori, and Robbie and Sam, and then Miguel and Sam again, and Robbie and Tori is brilliant romantic writing, in my opinion. Every single romantic relationship, in my opinion, is so well done, and it just is an extra satisfying layer on top of how already brilliant the character writing is in that show. So I just wanted to make that as like an honorable mention because there would be no possible way that I could pick one singular romantic development as my favorite from Cobra Kai. And I was not about to make a top 15 like just based on that. That would have been a little ridiculous. So yeah. Now moving to top five. And number five is Forrest and Jenny. Um Now the reason I love this is because this is like an emotional journey that slowly develops throughout the entire movie. Um, because you know, this is one in particular that I think benefits so much. When I rewatched Forrest Gump, because I have rewatched it a lot of times. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, and when you I feel like when you first watch at least this was the case for me. When I first watched Forrest Gump, I was very much not that I didn't like pay attention to what was happening with other characters, but I feel like for a first time watch of Forrest Gump, you're very much focused on Forrest's arc and his character itself. And I think when I rewatched it, I paid a lot more attention to specific details of what happened with other characters while still appreciating Forrest's entire journey as much as I did, if not more. And I think the best example of this is with Jenny's character because there are so many aspects of her character that are just truly fucked up. Like, the fact that she gets like molested by her dad as a kid along with her sisters is crazy, and she goes to Forrest for help, and obviously Forrest's too dumb to realize that Jenny was probably romantically interested in him from a young age. So seeing that build and seeing that connection build, and then um she just ends up like shacking random dudes while she's in college, and then she ends up trying to do the same to Forrest, and then nothing really comes of that because he's too dumb. Uh, and then she ends up going crazy partying. She has like some new gigs. Her life just ends in a absolute like disaster spiral, basically. Um, and she's just in an awful place. And then, she goes back to Forrest finally after like realizing her true feelings. Um, and like and this is on top of the fact that you're following Forrest's journey the whole time. Um, as like as you're seeing how he, he even if he never realized the romantic connection there, he saw Jenny as like a really close friend that he never wanted to lose, and he's constantly thinking of her and writing letters and trying to say hi and meet up wherever they can. And um that experience as just one small part of Forrest's journey is so powerful. And then the way the end of the film concludes with like her dying and Forrest just raising his son was just such a beautiful and tragic conclusion, and it's such a amazing connection, and that it's only number 5 on this list. Um, which is why I say, which is why I really mean when I say that, like, I am extremely picky about the romances that I like, but the ones I do like, I tell you, I absolutely adore. Now, and number 4 is Toru and Kyo. Now, to be totally honest, I could have picked this could have gone into like the honorable mentions category, um, like like Cobra Kai did, because every single romantic connection in Fruits Basket is absolutely fucking brilliant and heart jerking and just so beautiful in every way, because every single one of them has a pair of brilliantly developed characters. And but the fact of the matter is, this is different from Cobra Kai in the fact that the romantic connection between Toro and Kyo is just simply the best of all of the brilliant ones in the entire show. Um, because you are like the entirety of the show, it really seems like, Toru and Yuki are like the most obvious pairing, and that's what I thought for a long time when I was watching it. Um, because they have a lot of great moments, and their relationship overall, especially by the end of the show, is really good. And it develops into a super satisfying friendship. Um, but with Joe, it's like he's like one of he's by far, in my opinion, the most deeply explored character in the show. And like not only do you have the whole thing with like him being related to the cat, and that being like, the outcast, and he's like the most awful zodiac and whatnot. He's like shunned by the rest of the family, basically. Um, and and you're seeing just like the mental effect this has on him as he thinks he is literally nothing but a failure, and then Toru helps him out of that, and even then he's still being like constantly uh demeaned and just bullied by Akito. Um and then you have near the end of the show there this like massive guilt that just comes. It seems like out of nowhere, but then when it's explored, it makes so much sense, which is why it's such brilliant fucking writing. Like this trauma that he feels. It's not like sadness or guilt. It's like genuine PTSD and trauma, where he thinks that he murdered Toru's mom. And that connection and how deep of a character Toru gets to where she realizes his guilt, and like Toru kind of like Force is not exactly the most intuitive character, but when that finally happens, that click, it is so satisfying. And from there, like the battle of romantic feelings that happens between them to their eventual end as characters is just it is so beautiful in a way that I cannot properly describe in words other than fucking watch Fruits Basket. um Now, and number three is Taki and Mizuha from Your Name, because um this one's a little bit more simple for me, but the reason that this is so powerful to me is because I feel like this movie does such a brilliant job of uh I guess exploring both of the individual characters and their individual characteristics as they body swap. Um, that the connection between them feels so believable, and it is incredible to me, like how much this romantic connection builds and how powerful it is over such a short span of it only being in one movie. And that is just why I love it. To be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, like I could I could change around this list, and I might change it around later on. But for now, since I'm already like 23 minutes into making this video, I'm just not going to do that. Um, at number two is Okabe and Makise from Steins Gate. Now, um, this one I love for similar reasons to Taki and Mizuho, because I feel like with this one, you really are exploring like just the depths of both characters to such a brilliant and fantastic extent. Um, and seeing their connection gradually build as like they have more and more dialogues, and they start to understand each other, and they start to care for each other more, and how they don't want to lose each other, and how that leads to like their love across timelines is just it's so brilliant. But uh for me, the easiest number one on this list, like I knew this was number one, before I'd even figured out what the rest of this list, like what else was going to be on this list. I knew that number one was number one, and that is John and Alicia from Beautiful Mind because this is everything that I loved about the Forrest Gump one, but basically on steroids. That's how good it is because the entirety of the movie you are exploring John Nash's rise as a character and then his breakdowns. You know his every insecurity in and out. And then, you get to this point as he's doing all this government work that he starts dating Alicia. Their relationship gets deeper. He is advised by I can't remember his name, but the character that he envisioned via schizophrenia to not marry her, and he ends up doing it anyway. And and their relationship gradually devolves as he becomes more romantically unstable until he finally gets treatment. But then that even doesn't really solve it because he's not really able to do anything and he can't care for the kid that they have. And the reason I love this romantic relationships so much, the reason why it is my favorite ship in fiction is because it feels so realistic. Like, as heartbreaking as every stage of their devolving and collapsing relationship is, it feels so realistic. And yet, as bad as things get, as bad as things get, the both of the characters are so good on their own and for each other that they never let that break apart. Um, and as a result, because even though it got so close to breaking apart, it never did break apart. As a result, the connection that rebuilds onto that is 10 times stronger what it did, and that happens several times. So, like, by the end of the movie, they have such a strong and powerful romantic connection that is so profound as it relates to both of the characters and their struggles with each other and their every and they know their every like insecurity and weakness and they can support each other through all of it. It is so beautiful on so many levels, and it's one of many reasons why A Beautiful Mind is just, in my opinion, will always be one of the greatest movies of all time. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I got to admit, this is very different. And when I saw this idea from the comments, I didn't even know if I didn't even know if I'd be able to make this list because this is unlike any list I've really done before, to be honest. And so, I had to think about different criterias, I guess, but I'm ultimately very happy with how this list turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said in the beginning, I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.